I do some work as a consultant as well around school culture and climate. And I'll go in as a representative of this particular organization and we'll conduct climate survey studies, right? And we use those survey results to then plan a 3-year action step, if you will, to improve the school culture and climate in schools. And to your point, I think a lot of schools in this work are surprised that while overall, in most cases, the schools where at least I've done these surveys with folks, there is a sense of pride in the community. And for the most part, students are enjoying their experiences in these schools. These are largely schools in New Jersey, suburban type schools. But yet the one area that always seems to come back is how disassociated the LGBTQ community is within these schools. So even though overall the statistics would suggest that students are having a positive experience, we both know that, you know, the average masks the details. And this population, even more so than, say, students who come from traditionally underserved or minority populations, are feeling in some ways even more disassociated in these schools than those populations of students. So, I mean, that's one reason why I think we should be talking about how to make the experience better in schools for our queer students. But obviously you have a personal stake in this and a professional one. What would you say would be some of the reasons why we should care that this population of students feels disaffected?
I mean, I think at the bare minimum, I think it would be difficult to come across an educator or a school where you are not hearing language like safety is the top priority, number one, right? And then, of course, we have a lot of neuroscience that shows us deep learning can only happen when folks feel secure and safe. Like there's just compelling, like overwhelming evidence of that, right? So if I really believe that the safety of my students matters, and if I understand learners are going to learn better when they feel safe and secure, I am going to be a better educator. And there's also compelling research that shows inclusive, LGBTQ inclusive education doesn't only benefit LGBTQ identifying students, it actually benefits everyone. So, you know, this is about your whole school community. And then I also think it's the reality that, you know, the longer that I was in education, I came to really deeply understand. I don't teach content. I teach complex, creative, compassionate human beings, right? And when I lead with that, you know, when I am building relationships, when my students feel like they can belong, when my students feel like they can come to me and let me know an issue they have or a question, or they can tell me like, you know, I am struggling with something, we're going to be able to do a better job as a teacher learner dynamic, right? So I kind of think at the core, when we're thinking about what we do, nothing's more critical than belonging and safety. And schools have had so much silence around this for so long. You know, and you mentioned earlier, yes, the LGBTQ plus population there's a lot of research out there about how they are at risk. And I kind of often will work with school leaders on, but what are they at risk from? It's not just because of their identity that they're at risk. They're at risk from bullying. They're at risk from hate speech. And it's not that, oh gosh, well, they're just going to hear some harmful things. Hate speech and bullying, again, lead to suicidal ideation, to self-harm. There are real dramatic consequences. And again, we are living and learning in a world where this is happening in person and in virtual spaces as well. And I sort of think, if you really believe in the safety of your community, how can you ignore that? And again, when we're talking about at risk, why is the bullying happening? It's a lack of awareness. It's a lack of education. So again, I think it comes back to that baseline responsibility of, if we believe that everybody deserves the right to learn and will do so better in a space where they're safe, you have got to address this issue